Well, good afternoon. It's 6 o'clock and it's time for a slightly different version of Talking Songs. When I first started doing this 2 years ago, it was a live thing where I sat and chatted to songwriters, and I played a bit and they played a bit, and we talked about songs and songwriting and that sort of stuff. And I'm trying to get back to that format, really. So today in the studio with me, I've got Mr. Karl Walsh. But I'm going to kick it off by singing a little tune. And this is, because this is about songwriting. This is a song that... This was a song that was actually written about a romantic encounter that a friend of mine had. And one night stand, a romantic encounter. Depends how you look at it, really. So this is called We Were Lovers. She was just a friend of a friend, met her purely by chance. Loved the way she acted, and I loved the way she danced. We swayed so slow and gentle, taking care with every move. Feeling the music, and going with the groove. We were lovers, much more than friends. The morning, we were strangers again. Both standing, looking lonely, not knowing which way to go. Were we looking for love or adventure? We didn't exactly know. Sometimes we look for friendship, hoping for something good. Not sure if we'd recognize it, not knowing if we could. We were lovers, much more than friends. But come the morning, we were strangers again. The next day it was over, like waking from a dream. Not sure if it had happened, not sure if it was real. We came from different stories, then we both went our different way. It was never ever meant to last, it was just an amazing day. We were lovers, much more than friends. So over to my guest, filmmaker, songwriter, and all-round good bloke. This is my friend from sunny Stockport.
Sunny, yay!
Hey, Mr. Karl Walsh. Yes.
How are you doing,
mate? Not spoken to you for a minute.
I'm doing great. How are you, Rowland? That sounded good.
Thank you. Yes, it's written about a mutual friend of ours, although maybe I shouldn't say who it is.
I wasn't sure when you said it was about a friend. I just thought it might be a bit closer to home than that.
No, it is literally about a friend. Yeah, it was one of those lovely sunny... Do you remember those sunny afternoons when you used to sit outside the pub and chat?
Yeah, wouldn't that be
well,
nice?
It was one of those, and we were just chatting away, and I don't know how it cropped up. I don't think we were actually talking about songs at the time, but afterwards I thought about it, and I thought, well, it's a good one for a song. So what about you and your songwriting? Where does your songwriting start from? Excuse me, drinking, will you?
No, it's all right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Pure vodka, this song. Just steady. I'll just get myself in the mood and I'll tell you all about it.
Well,
I think my songwriting started when I was a very, very tiny child. I've always been crazily sentimental, and maybe, yeah, overly sentimental. And certainly it was no different as a kid. And I kind of got little melodies in my head whenever my mum was hoovering, or
Oh, right.
if there was any kind of drone noise going. In fact, my dad, this is an interesting one. My dad was a farmer, and he had milking machines that used to hum. There was like a big vacuum noise that used to hum. And the sound of that humming, or interesting, maybe it's the sound of vacuums, I don't know, but my mum vacuuming inside, that sound of that drone, I would pick out little melodies in it and sing to myself, like as a tiny little, 4-year-old. And once I got little melodies going around in my head, I'd let them go around until they made me cry. Now that's what it's like to be a farmer's son.
Yeah. So in that sense, I mean, you're saying about something sounds like early music concrete, but I mean, how old were you when you started actually playing an instrument?
I tried to play the guitar when I was at primary school, but I've got these kind of hands that just have always been in the way. Really, I'm not a great guitarist now. I always prefer it to have somebody else play the guitar if I can. I'm not happy with it, and so I spent a lot of time at primary school trying to get better guitarists to teach me how to do just a chord or just anything that didn't hurt. And it took me years. I gave up several times, and then I think I'd probably be I don't know, probably 17 or 18 before I managed to be able to plonk through a few chords. And even then, I was just happier singing. But then you use the guitar, don't you? When you're songwriting, you start using it, and then it just becomes a real useful tool to be able to accompany yourself.
But have you always written? I mean, because you had a band for a while, signed up, all that sort of stuff, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Were you the writer and the singer?
I was a writer and a singer. Right. We were, as is often the case, 3 writers and 3 singers. Right. Sometimes you're in a band with other musicians. Everybody's a writer, everybody's a singer, which sometimes goes well.
But invariably ends up in fights.
So. Yeah.
Or at least disagreements.
Yeah. I've always written everything. I'm not one of those people that kind of plays a lot of covers, sings a lot of covers. I don't really know very many songs that I haven't written. I'm very awkward. If I've got to learn something that I've not written, I find it quite a challenge, really.
It's funny you should say that, because I'm a bit like that myself, and people used to take guitars along to parties and things like that, and I would never do that.
No.
I wouldn't. I mean, even I only play my own stuff, really. I mean, I do some songs by other people. I have no objection to doing it. It's just I've never done it. I've never been that sort of troubadour guitar player, and so I hate it when people say, "Oh, do you know any of that?" I say, "No, I don't. No, I don't."
No.
You have to, and people go, "Oh," because it's like, well, if you can't play something that we know, then you can't be any good. It's an odd thing, but anyway, tell you what, give us a tune. Tell us tell us what this song's going to be.
Okay, so the first song is a song called "Like Spring." I've got some props here. It's off the Happy Future album, Birds. Yeah. Like Spring. It's about that moment of a rare moment of clarity that we get when things strangely coalesce and seem to make sense. Yeah. It's the kind of feeling that people meditate to try and achieve and can't. And then for some strange reason, one fine day it just descends on you, and you feel one with everything. Everything makes sense. And you just think, oh God, if I could feel like this forever, this is it. This is the feeling. It's like all knowing, all perfect. And we all feel it from time to time, like a little moment of optimism.
Rarely at the moment, I feel.
No, exactly. It's a rare, fleeting thing, but it's a real thing. I don't think you can control it. Maybe you can. Maybe I have a lot to learn. But so it's a song about that moment.
Okay, well, I'll put you over onto.
Shall I give it a go?
Yeah, I'll put you onto full screen. And here you go.
Some time ago, on the motorway, driving into the autumn sun, a life distilled into a moment like spring had just begun. I, traveling, repeat these lines, try to hold it there forever. Moments of optimism like spring. 12:54, some other day, so much noise and tarmac gray, all unaware and melting away neath the steel blue hollow sky. All around the world we're falling down. All around the world. It's in the breeze of new mown grass and the light reminder of promises of easy days under the trees, your lips and the sight of the sea, these moments of optimism like spring. All around the world, bid hold your tongue and force below, a warning to never let go. We're counting down to this last breath when all the world is waiting for. Some time ago, on the motorway, driving into the autumn sun, life distilled into a moment like spring had just begun.
Great. Now, who do you have any sort of influences, do you think, in terms of your writing?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've heard you many occasions performing, but nothing's ever sort of. You have a distinctive style, and I can't hear any influence. I mean, like people say to me, they can hear a bit of John Martin in what I do. Which is very nice, but you know, it's an obvious influence. Whereas I don't catch that in yours. Does that mean you?
For a long time, the first band I got into, I was trying really hard to be Ian Curtis, but I really was, and I hadn't got that kind of gravel, the kind of the what's the word? Brevitas, is it?
Mm.
Will that do?
The punky tas.
Yeah, I was a choir boy really when I was first singing, and I couldn't do that. I tried to be Ian Curtis for a while. I fell in love with David Bowie. I tried to be David Bowie for a while. I still do from time to time. Bob Dylan, obviously. You have these people in your head that you'd really like to. I mean, when I was a little tiny child, at the point where I was, make himself cry listening to the vacuum cleaner. I knew a few Elvis Presley songs. you know.
I love the idea of the vacuum cleaner and the milking machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like I don't know, H.P.
It's the beginning of a
Lovecraft
folk song,
story.
isn't it? That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else? Have you got for
so
it?
that was like spring.
Yeah.
And so that moment, I hope we all feel that from time to time, where we feel everything's right and there's no real stress. But
You're
then
talking to a blues man here. I don't get that very often.
No, you would notice the very dark middle eight though. There's always got to be a bit of a counterbalance.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kind of the exact opposite of that when we're overwhelmed. Yeah, so that's what the
Trying to
middle eight
survive.
goes very dark, and I quite like to do that. I quite like to go from kind of sort of minute detail to kind of like grandiose kind of melodrama, sometimes in the same line. Quite often verse to chorus will go from something quite small to something quite universal.
Go on,
yeah,
then.
and
What else? Give us an explanation of what the next song is.
The next song is, let me remind myself. Oh, yeah. This is timely. Again, maybe a bit prescient. This is called On the Morning After the End of the World. This is a song that was about... it's about how amazing it is that things kind of will return to normalcy so quickly after an incredible disaster. Things go on, don't they? And in this song, the end of the world really is kind of mortality. And so the end of the world happens for all of us, doesn't it? We all have the end of the world. We have the end of our world. And I think when you lose somebody, our world ends. So in this song, we're talking about the end of the world, and it's amazing about how the traffic doesn't stop because somebody dies. And the shops are still open, and the wind's still blowing, and the world turns and goes on without us. And so the singer in this song is talking about the end of the world, and it becomes apparent in the last verse it's him that's dead. So he's a ghost. So the references in the verses about what he can see, things going on, is he can't believe it's still going on because the world's ended.
Brilliant. So what's it called?
On the morning after the end of the world.
Take it away, Carl.
I will. I'll try. On the morning after the end of the world, I saw the lightning strike. As the storm clouds grew, more lightning broke through, and the whole of the sky was alight. We were reaching down south to the edge of the world, and a wind came to blow us away. And as I looked up from under the sea, all that I wanted was you close to me. All that I wanted was you. I know an old woman who reminds me of you, walks her dogs in the park every day. I think that our old man left years ago, but I know that he wanted to stay. A black mountain of sea washed over me, and the stars are all falling down. And when this morning comes, I know it will bring an end to all our dreams. The end to all our dreams. On the morning after the end of the world. On the morning after the end. On the morning after the end of the world. On the morning after the end of the world. The shops are still open, the traffic is jammed, the TV still carries the news. The wind is still blowing, the trees are still growing, some devil still lighting a fuse. You would think that a silence would fall on the land, you'd think that the sirens would end. but they all keep on shouting. The fighting won't cease on the morning after the end. On the morning after the end. On the morning after the end of the world. On the morning after the end of the world. La 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 I watched London drown from a satellite town way up in the Lancashire hills. And a young fellow wept, I remember him well, every time that his drowned lungs were filled. Now they wait on a bridge over the river, watching it flow to the sea. And though we all look the same, we're all waving again, but the only one to drown it was me. The only one to drown it was me. On the morning after the end of the world. On the morning after the end. On the morning after the end of the world. On the morning after the end of the world. Of the world.
Great. Do you think the because I know you've is it 3 books you've written?
Yeah, I have. Well, there's only one published though, so don't be looking for the other 2. They're still in a drawer
No,
around
just
here
thinking in
somewhere.
terms of the sort of the storytelling, because it's quite. I mean, it seems to be like an integral part of what you do, whether it's the film projects or whether it's the songs or the writing.
You hear that a lot, don't you? People saying, "Oh, I just need to tell a story," even whether they're writing a book or a film or a song. I feel like I need to tell a story. I've never actually thought that. I don't feel like I need to tell a story. I kind of feel like I want to entertain people. But when I'm, and communicate with people, share emotions, and make people feel less lonely. That's my plan.
I think it's. I agree entirely with what you're saying, because I'm the same. I've never thought of, I have a story to tell. I've never thought like that. But there's a kind of inevitability that at some point you are telling a story with a song.
Yeah, you do.
One of the things that always stuck with me is that Robert Cray, as a blues man, there was an interview I read with him, and he was saying that the interviewer was saying, well, you've never worked in a cotton field, you're not skint. You've not experienced, the sort of the classic blues experience. How do you write blues songs? And he said that he works as if it's he's an alter ego, and he writes the songs from the standpoint of our alter ego. So he still writes a story, but it's as all stories are to a great or lesser extent. It's a created story based on somebody else, not himself.
Yeah. Here's an odd thing. And it connects to that. It's about a kind of maybe acting as well, because acting falls into exactly the same thing, where you become something else. I think, as you say, you could write a blues song about any kind of an experience. You can imagine it. You can have empathy for it. But strange things happen when you're writing, don't they? You kind of become something else. Specifically writing something like a novel where you're engrossed in it for month after month, and you let the characters come to life inside you, and they become, they have a world of their own. You feel at that time quite an omniscient sense. You become quite powerful in that world. It's like you know everything about that world. You know everything. And there's something about the creative process where it's creative. It's
I think
godlike.
the thing about writing, I've never written fiction in that sense, in terms of a novel, and I've always been fascinated by. I've heard people say this, and I know you and I have talked about this before, is that you hear people who say, well, I just start writing and I don't know where it's going to end.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, nah, I can't
I
see
couldn't
that.
do that.
Really.
No.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure it's possible.
No, I'm sure
No.
I'm sure people do that, and maybe it's about editing, isn't it? As well, I suppose you could write a lot of material and then learn as you're writing.
To a certain
where it's
extent,
going,
but
and
I
then
can't
edit it
believe that
accordingly.
the sort of because the particular person I'm talking about is a crime novelist, and I
Yeah, I
can't
don't believe
imagine
that,
that
yeah.
you can write a crime story without knowing what happens in the end.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I'm open to it in that. I suppose you're a detective in that sense, aren't you? You've got to find out what happened.
Mm.
You know, using the earlier metaphor of kind of like it being a world of its own and it having a life of its own. You know, as a writer, sometimes you are along for the ride and you just think, well, where's this going to go? And it takes you somewhere you didn't think you were going. Like I was saying, I don't think of being a storyteller so much in the songs, but a lot of my songs have got a kind of a narrative thread and a character that it's about. But they tend to be metaphorical ways of me expressing something.
Mm. Okay.
Even though you don't know you're going to do it, you know.
I feel like we're on Desert Island Discs here.
Yeah.
And what's number 3?
Yeah. My
What have you
third
got for
song.
me?
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's just see what's in the cover. Oh, this is a nice one. Look, this is Hello Moon. Oh, I should have said, that on the morning after the end of the world is on there as well, Rowland. I hope you've got one of these, Rowland.
No, I've not had the pleasure.
I'll make sure one wings its way to your offices.
Okay.
I'll get my people to speak to your people. This is The Visitors, the entity that were before The Happy Future. I was working with Mike Crook, another excellent songwriter. And Hello Moon is on this one. So all available through normal channels. Hello Moon was written in answer to a song that I wrote a lifetime ago called Goodbye Moon. And Goodbye Moon, in it, I suppose the moon is a symbol of kind of innocence and love. And I kind of used the space race in the 1969 moon landing as a kind of a metaphor for that kind of optimism of the young heart.
Right.
And at the time, I went to see Apollo 13 at the cinema, where years after the space race was a forgotten thing, and Apollo 13 had come out in the cinema, the story of this stricken spacecraft. And the story in Apollo 13 is that America kind of fell out of love with the moon. And hence Apollo 13 sort of struggled out of the Earth's atmosphere and then had to struggle back in again. And it's a very, very sad story, but what made it more potent for me was that I watched it in an empty cinema. There was only me in there. And I just felt, and again, it happened for me at a time when I was also losing love. And so Goodbye Moon was my kind of, a goodbye to love kind of song. Several years later, I felt like I needed to write the antidote, so this is Hello Moon. And it's about realising that love's not gone. Shall I?
Go on. Yeah, go for it.
All right. I'll wait till you press your button, Rowland. There we go.
All right, you're live.
Wish me luck. It's been such a long time, and we've all been so very far away. I thought about you every single day. I'm glad you're still mine. I'm glad you still shine. Shine on. We come so very far, calling from a distance like the prettiest star, burning like the chords played I thought you'd gone. I thought you were the only one for me. Hello, moon. Turn these engines on. I will soon be gone. Hello, moon. In tranquility, see where she waited for me, and we'll be with you soon. Crashing on the surface of the moon. I never leave you now, I know that we'll be true. I'm true to you. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Turn these engines on, gone. And I dreamt that I was on the surface of the moon, and I was looking up and all that I could see was you in blue. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. La, 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 la. We're out here in the dark, stumble under starlight, turning wheels around the spiral, and there's nothing here to pray to but this endless turning silence. So we sing a tune to Our Lady. Hello, 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 hello. Turn these engines on, and we'll soon be gone. And on, hello. You waited for me, yeah. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
Great.
It's all right.
There's definitely a hint of Bowie in there.
Yeah, there was that time. I'll tell you what it is. What it is.
Anything that's to do with space, because it's going to sound like Bowie at some point.
Yeah, in fact, that is it, and that's my Space Oddity, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and also that kind of
genre,
slightly more nasally kind of singing that he did. I've got to try and stop myself from doing that, but I can't. I just like it.
Just slightly off the point about the songs, but Bowie did a series of late night shows from New York not that long ago. Obviously, when he was still alive, but not that long ago. And basically, he just told stories. And he was absolutely superb. He was just so funny as a raconteur. And the one I particularly liked, he told a story about he shared a manager with Mark Bolan, and at one point neither of them was working, and the manager said, "All right, well, come down and paint my office for me." So Bolan and Bowie go down, to the great rock gods of the time, but not quite then though, and they were sat alongside each other painting this wall, and Bowie did it with all the actions, going, "Yeah, well, I'm sat there like this, and Bowen sat next to me."
I hope he created the wall before he started painting.
It was startling, and he he said that Bolan was sat alongside him, made no eye contact with him at all. And he said, who are you? He says, I'm Mark Bolan. He says, are you a mod? And Bolan says, I'm the mod. And leaves it at that. But it was a brilliant series. And
there's actually a short film that depicts that very story.
Is there?
Yes, yeah. Look it up. I don't know whether it'll be on Vimeo or YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a short film. That is literally Bowie and
just that scene.
Bowie and Bolan
Brilliant.
in that office doing that. It's good.
It's hardly. I mean, I have to say, because it stuck with me. That's the only thing I can remember from the series. But he was a really good raconteur.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about your fourth song then? What's this one going to be about?
All right, and this is I've saved this one to the end because I was doing it the other day. In fact, and I broke a string on it, and it's got a bit of guitaring at the end that I can't do, so I just hammer it and I just break a string. So I've saved it till the end, so there's no embarrassment. If it breaks, that's it. If I just stop at the end, let's just all take it as read that it was going to be exciting, and we just decided
it was planned.
Yeah. This is called Song 10, and it's a little take on Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus. It's got references to Circe's Island, where Odysseus gets waylaid, and it's kind of tied into this story. I mean, in fact, it's not the other one on the morning after the end of the world. That's about a drowned sailor. Maybe becomes obvious, but for some reason I've kind of got this interest in. I suppose it's got a grand metaphor of the sea and kind of being a sailor and being shipwrecked, and the idea of drowning at sea is quite a romantic image to me for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, so Song 10. Don't tell Pauline that because I'm quite keen to get a boat, so I don't want to spook her. But anyway, so
okay.
Song 10, is about it's about a ménage à trois between two sailors and their love in sort of crossed with this kind of Odysseus-like, Odyssey-like story, and it's about somebody losing their mind.
Okay.
Yeah, Song 10 is basically he's counting these incidents as like, this is song number 1, this is song number 2, and by the end he's completely lost his mind, and all he knows is that this is song number 10. So that's kind of what it is.
Take it away.
Yes. I've got a little bit of mine. Doesn't matter. We'll just do it. We came across the water, we came to her bedside. Although the ship was leaking, we came in on the tide. She made us drink seawater, she made us run and hide. And although I came to love her, what happened? She beat us till we cried. She beat us till we cried. She asked me what I came for and when it all began. I said, sit down on the bed there, I'll show you how it's done. I'll show you how it's done. So I laid my hands upon her, and that was song number 1. We spent the night talking, searching for the truth. The ship sank in the harbor, and had never been waterproof. She asked what I was doing there, was she my only one? I didn't want to let her down, so I said I'd best be gone. I'd better be gone. She said, you take your time, boy, you know I like you too. You haven't got a vessel now, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So she laid her hands upon me. We sailed the whole night through. Next day the bed was empty. I was becalmed there all alone. There was a banging on the door. I never should have gone. I thought she brought me coffee or something for my strength. But the guy who brought the flowers was supposed to be my friend. He was supposed to be my friend. He stood there looking tired. He'd been on the same ship as me. He was calling for salvation, but he was looking right at me. Ah, you drink too much at sea. So I laid my hands upon him. It was either him or me. We came across the water. We never wasted any time. We were washed up on your island. You turned us into swine. Although the ship was leaking, we came in on the tide. And although he came to love you, I beat him till he cried. I beat him till he cried. Can't remember how I got here. I don't know what happened then. I can hear the sirens calling from the shore. I'm drowned again. I'm drowned again. Just like other men. All I know now is this is song number 10.
Not a broken string inside.
I think I broke a small, tiny part of my mind, though, when I was doing that. Just as I was starting that then, Rowland, I was just thinking, I'm on my own in a room, and I couldn't just get over it.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
It's not exactly a show, is it?
Well, it's a
strange
peculiar
thing.
sensation. And I have to say, when I've done quite a lot on my own as well, and I find myself automatically at the end of a song saying thank you, which is even more ridiculous. But we've not had any interruptions from the notorious cat tonight. Anyway, he's quietly sleeping his socks away. So that's what I was expecting earlier on.
He's wise. He's a wise cat.
He is indeed. So, well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming into your studio. And
I came in. I like it here. I like it. I'll come again. I love it here. It's brilliant.
Good. Any final things you want to say? I've put up your website's been up, so people know how to get in touch with you.
Website. The thing is, everybody. Yeah, that's nice, Rowland. Yeah, you can find me there. But if you just Google me, Karl Walsh, and look for music, Karl Walsh, you'll come across all sorts of things. And there's lots and lots of albums and songs and videos and stuff to occupy your time with. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks, mate. See you
Thank you
again soon.
Thank you.
Cheers. Well, that was our first attempt with this new system. So I'm planning to do every week like this now. It seems to work okay. If anybody wants to get in touch and say hello, and that'd be great. And you can find us. It's talkingsongs.uk, which will just take you to the page on Facebook. There is no website as such yet. And I've got a few things lined up. I'm hoping to do an international one in a few weeks' time. In fact, 2 international ones. But I won't say that until it's all been signed, sealed, and delivered, so to speak. So I'm going to finish off with a song. And it's funny that Karl was talking about follow-up songs. Well, this one is actually a follow-up from the first song I sang, which was about the one-night stand. And this is a sort of it's a recollection of what was happening before. looking back on it and thinking about it. And this is called And I Knew in That Moment. Sometimes I think too much, I look too hard and I dig too deep. Can't get you out of my mind, can't get no peace. I know I can't forget you, though many, many years have passed. I can still see your smile, I can still hear that laugh. And I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. I had to let you go because I knew it wasn't right. I let you walk out that door, didn't even put up a fight. Sad or glad that it happened, either way it was never meant to be. I thought I'd won the big prize that night, but in the end the loser was me. And I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. 10, 20 years later, the memory still lingers on. How can something that felt so right possibly be looked at as being so wrong? And I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. Yes, and I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. So, thanks guys, thanks for listening, thanks for dropping in, and do keep in touch, and until the next time, keep safe. Bye.